Thank you very much.
There we go.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, just listening to all the topics today, I could be talking about a load of different things under sustainability, buying habits of millennials, the digital footprint and carbon footprint associated with that. I could talk about many different things. Influencers, look at Glassberry this year, or the Super Bowl ads, but I'm not. I'm going to talk to you today specifically about communications and sustainability communications at that and around the messages. So I'm from the Planet Mark, and I'll talk to you a little bit about the Planet Mark later. But I'm specifically talking today of how in sustainability communications we need to move people and businesses from talk to action. And I want to start off by talking about the decade of action. So have you seen the SDGs? Anybody? A few people? Good. My colleagues, obviously. So the Decade of Action is the campaign from the UN. They've put forward 17 sustainable development goals that businesses and individuals should get on board with to make the world a very sustainable place. The goal is to get them all in place by 2030, so very ambitious. And they're calling the campaign a Decade of Action. So you should be seeing the Decade of Action a lot, and you'll definitely be seeing it from us. But what does all that mean? Essentially, it's our relationship with the planet. And we tend to think that we have this observer or this glass wall between us and nature and the rest of the world. We really don't. Yes, right now I can't see any nature, but we have an intrinsic relationship. Our lives and the way we buy and absolutely everything we do relies on a healthy planet and a thriving society. So we need to become a little bit more one with nature. So what is this 10 years I've been talking about, the Decade of Action? Well, let's just look a little bit at the science. So at the time of the Industrial Revolution, we started putting all these greenhouse gases in the air, and from that point, the climate started to increase as well. Right now, the climate has increased by 1 degree. If we do everything possible and really get businesses and individuals on board in the next 10 years, we can keep the temperature under 2 degrees. But if we do nothing, our current path is to 4 degrees. And I'll tell you what that means in 1 second in terms of actual reality. But the key thing is that the Industrial Revolution only ended about 150 years ago. In the whole span of the planet, the planet's been getting along fine. All of a sudden, this has happened, and we are responsible. So what do we do about it? People ask, what is the difference between 1 degree and 2 degrees? Well, this is the difference between 0.5 degrees. If we keep things under 2 degrees, this is what the world will look like. And thank you to our friends at WWF. So you can see the impact if you just want to pick on a few things to read there. The key thing is that we have naturalists, environmentalists, scientists, financial specialists all saying the same thing. The climate crisis is the biggest problem humanity will ever face. But we can solve it if we act now. So what has the response been? So we have protests around the world from students, millions of students, and frankly, quite rightly. We're the ones creating the future that they are going to live in. So they want us to take action. It's coming from all angles. So these are your consumers, but also we have the world's biggest investor, BlackRock, writing to CEOs that they invest in every single year, saying climate risk is an investment risk. We have the Bank of England, Mark Carney, who we'd like to think is probably becoming the next Greta Thunberg. But if he's saying that if some companies don't change, they'll just fail to exist, and this is absolutely true. We also have action groups like Greenpeace and Extinction Rebellion going out on social media and in the streets, causing civil disobedience, but also calling out governments, organizations, and your businesses when you don't take action. So all of this poses a brand risk, obviously, and nobody likes that word, especially in this room. So what do we do about it? Well, what are they actually complaining about? Why do we need to take action? Well, we don't use stock imagery for this sort of stuff. These are all real images. So this is what these are real images from now. So we have the polar caps melting that causes flood risk, obviously. That's from the UK. We have fires burning in Australia. It could be Athens. It could be California. This is happening on a more regular basis. Typhoons, hurricanes, that happens because of increased temperatures. If you think that oil spills, you don't hear about that much, yeah, that happens quite often. So it's not just the carbon that we are using that goes up in the air, it's the carbon we are wasting. Extinctions, bees in particular, they're the source of pollination for our own food. Coral bleaching because the temperature of the waters are too high. Health and well-being because of pollution. This is going, you can see this is getting a little bit more crazy. This isn't the future. This is now. Oh my God, let's take action, right? No. This isn't the messaging that's here. This is the doomsday message. If I stopped now and took a seat, how would you feel? I'm sure you'd feel some fear, some anxiety, doom, denial. There's a lot of the term climate anxiety right now, and it's actually true. I've been talking to loads of parents who are very concerned about bringing children into this world and what they will have to deal with when they're 50, 60, 70. And as we know through psychological research, something like fear is the feeling that leads to the least amount of action. So that doomsday message, we need to understand this as from marketers and communication specialists. We need to understand what's happening in the world, but that's not how we should lead our messages. The other thing that we're compounded with is that humans don't like change. We like what we know, and that's intrinsic to being human. And why is that? Well, a lot of research also shows because people think change means a loss of control or it's too expensive. For many different reasons. So how do we combat that? Well, at the Planet Mark, we don't like the doomsday message, so we're trying to change that message to a very positive one. We say the climate is changing, so we must also, so let's change the conversation. The conversation is that, well, humans seem to have had the power to change the climate on the entire planet. We didn't know that at the time of the Industrial Revolution. We thought we were just, making some great stuff. And it wasn't our fault. Now that we have that information, we genuinely need to change. So let's use that power again to take our climate back. And again, if we use that sort of positive language, we can, with hope and belief and courage, these are the feelings that actually get people to take positive action at the end of this. So change starts in the mind. And as marketers and communication specialists, it's up to us in this room. We have to encourage people not just to feel those emotions, but to know that change can actually happen. So it's not just me standing up here. We actually have climate experts and young business leaders who've been asked, and they are very confident that we can, and we know that we can. So I wanted to talk a little bit about why I think, and it's just not me, but I think sustainability is mainly a communications problem, a marketing problem. We have all the tools at our fingertips in terms of technology, finance, it's all there but to solve climate change. But we're not using it because humans don't like change and the messaging is wrong. But we as marketers and communication specialists, well, we are the persuaders, right? We're the creative community. We tempt people into buying our products. So why can't we tempt people into buying better? So let's look at the stats around business. Well, 96% of the people feel that just one person can make a difference. And that's a powerful stat. The key thing here is that 88% of consumers want help from brands to make that difference. So far, you see a lot of different companies, they will take care of their own company, their own space and say, we've reduced our carbon footprint, we've eliminated plastic, and we've done all these really great things. Look at us, aren't we the hero in this story? Which is a great story to tell, but there's a lot of flag waving happening. We need to make our customers the heroes of the story. And that's how, that's how you're going to actually change your brand perception to a very positive one. So, what are the tools of persuasion? So I'm going to talk to you about this. I'm actually going to be preaching to the choir a bit because these are just regular marketing tools. We just need to apply them to sustainability. So I have two things to talk about. First one is start with why. David at the beginning talked about purpose, and every company needs to establish their purpose. So let's talk about purpose. All these researchers, and there's loads up there, yes, it's a buzzword now, but purpose-led brands will and do outperform their competitors. Not to pick on any two, but I hope they're not in the room, but there's Unilever, who all their brands are very purpose-driven, compared to Nestle, who just say, look how great my product is. That's a very different conversation. It's a difference between having also a really good purpose and a vision statement. You don't just stick it on your website and say, hey, world, look at my purpose, and then completely do a whole set of other different things that don't align to it. You need to live and breathe your purpose, and if you do, you'll outperform your competitors. Here's an example. So, a Unilever brand. They established that their purpose, now, you have to go through a fairly rigorous exercise to do that, and we at the Planet Mark help our companies do that. But they said that their purpose was they believe that beauty should be a source of confidence and not anxiety. They went out and asked a lot of different people, their customers, employees, to challenge the language and visuals around real beauty. Now all they do in terms of marketing is their real beauty campaign. And with that, they have cornered the market in terms of beauty bars. So mostly through word of mouth as well. If you go to their website, all you will see is real beauty campaigns, stories, all the things they're doing within schools and whatnot. Somewhere down here they say we sell beauty soap, right? 4 billion, by the way. There you go. Here's a brand who got it wrong. So they said that their vision was to be the best photo, film, chemical, and paper business out there. And boy, weren't they. They just ignored the digital revolution when it came along. Why? Because what does the digital revolution have to do with being the best photo, film, and chemical business, right? If they had only said, we are in the business of making memories last, they would embrace the digital revolution. So you can see the importance of having a really good purpose and communicating that throughout all your different touch points in communications. So that's Start With Why. If you haven't seen it, there's a TED Talk by Simon Sinek called Start With Why, where this philosophy comes from. I think it's also called The Golden Circle. So I highly recommend that you watch that. I think there's a clip that's only 8 minutes long that's worthwhile. So I want to leave you with 5 ways to actually sell sustainability. So the first one, my God, it needs to work. And by work, I mean your product actually needs to be the best on the market. It's not good enough that you just have a really great sustainability product and it's, or rather it has a lot of sustainability credentials and then it just doesn't work. That will just fail and you don't have to go past number 1. Here's an example, 7th Generation, they put out a really great video. I'm short on time today, so I won't show all these videos, but they show there's a whole bunch of kids cleaning a table, then the parents come along, they put this cake down, and they invite the children over to start eating right off the table. And the message there is that, yes, it kills 99% of bacteria. By the way, it's powered by plants. It's 100% sustainable. And I like that because the sustainable messaging, when it's a by the way, people feel good about it. Then let's explore we'll explore that in number 3. Number 2 is to be bold and brave. So once you establish what your purpose is, you got to live and breathe it. So there was a climate march some time ago near Patagonia's head office. Because they understood their purpose and they wanted to live and breathe it, they closed their doors. They asked all their employees, don't even come to work, go join the march, be loud and visible. And that got them a lot of PR attention as well. Third, you got to make it really easy for your customers to embrace sustainability. Companies need to be the ones driving the change, but you got to do it in a way that makes it really easy for the company, for the consumer. So Tom's shoes, they're very clear on their message. 1 pound from every 3 pounds they make goes to various different charities. They have a whole giving department. They say their purpose, they're in the business of improving lives. And even if you go to their website, you can see that they have 2 options, shop with us, or look at what impact shopping with us does. Simple, it makes it really easy. 4th one, controversially, drop the word sustainability. So I don't mind using the word sustainability when it's in this sort of context, but when you're marketing it, you don't want to use it. You want to be very specific to what you're talking about. So if you ask someone, do you care about sustainable agriculture? You might go, I don't know. But if you ask them, do you buy local food? You might be like, oh yeah, I love my farmer's market, right? Visuals, my God, this is the one. I hate this image, right? Unless you're a garden center, stop using this imagery. okay? This makes sustainability so fluffy and so intangible that people, again, just won't take action. We need to use imagery that really works. So, here's a report on the rising sea levels. What will this image do for me? Absolutely nothing. Okay, I don't understand anything. But the moment you make it real, this is the 2050 sea level, companies will, government's going to have to take action eventually, right? We've all seen this in offices, go green, yay. And very complex signs next to bins. What's that gonna do? Really, it just confuses people. How about we actually make people feel something when they're putting it into the bin? Oh God, I'm putting something that's going into landfill. I better just go to the recycling and put it over there instead. And actually, look, there's a lid as well. Makes you feel even worse. Lastly, because it make it hard for people, you make the unsustainable solution hard. Make it sexy. And this is our job, and this brings all the other points together, makes sustainability so desirable that it becomes normal. And this is what we do as marketers and communication specialists. Intermarché is a supermarket in France, quite large one. They wanted to reduce food waste. So they made ugly fruit and vegetables sexy. Right? And they had this whole marketing campaign, and I don't have time to show you the video, but if you can go look at the video, it's one of my favorites. They made all these things really cool. They gave them their own aisle in the supermarket. They reduced the price by 30%. They sold out day in and day out, day in and day out. So what would normally happen in a supermarket is these fruits and vegetables would be left, and the good ones would be taken. It was the opposite in this case. They got a lot of PR, and a lot of newscasters also said, that every supermarket should do it. So that's it. That's my, I could talk to you about many other things, but I just want to leave you with the Planet Mark and what we do. We say that our purpose, and we went through this exercise as well, we said that we see a world where we all contribute to a thriving planet, and together we're a collective force for good. And by all, we mean all humans in the world. And what does that actually mean? What do we do? The Planet Mark is a sustainability certification company. We certify any business on their carbon footprint and increasingly their social value as well. And we instill progress in these companies. So you don't get the Planet Mark as a logo that you can use unless you're making improvements in your environmental and social footprints. We make it really simple. I've been in sustainability for 15 years, and I've never seen a company get it right, so I'm really happy to be working for the Planet Mark. We measure the carbon footprint and social value. We ask our companies to engage their staff and their supply chain, and we help you to communicate externally as well to build a positive brand. If you do, you have a host of different business benefits. These aren't sustainability benefits. These are business benefits, funny enough. So your sustainability and business strategy should really start to align. What do you get with the Planet Mark? Well, you're able to say that you align to the Sustainable Development Goals. We gift you an acre of protected rainforest in Peru. Through a charity that we run through Cool Earth. And we know that rainforests are the best line of defense for climate change. We give you 12 free tickets to the Eden Project in Cornwall, so you have a connection with nature, and you can educate your staff and customers, and we also invite you to loads of events. And it's a program that really works. It's something else I'm really proud about. But carbon is being cut left, right, and center throughout our community. We host these awards that highlight the very best. Here's just a small selection of the 700 plus organizations that we've helped. You'll see some brands that you know on there, like Lyle & Scott or Walker Greenbank, but there's a lot you won't know, and they are actually the suppliers of those brands that you do know. So they've caused a positive chain reaction throughout their supply chain. Lastly, we give you a whole bunch of assets to say that you're committing to a decade of action. Incubeta has signed up, thank you very much, and you're doing really well. So we're looking forward to that. Lastly, my colleagues, look at you didn't know your face was on there. There's Sam and Susie, just put your hand up. Happy to talk to any of you further about your certifying your company, but we also do loads of talks. Invite us over, and Lisa's going to kill me now because I've gone over by like 2 minutes. Thank you.
Let's start with a simple one. What 3 retailers are really getting it right?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask. I should have prepared better. I think you mentioned IKEA. IKEA is doing really well. They're really transforming the way that they do business. I have to say M&S as well. I think M&S has gone with their Plan A strategy was really good, but it's changing day in and day out. They've actually started to, they eliminate the unsustainable option. I know they eliminated, caged eggs from all their food line and just put organic and free range in there. That eliminates the choice for the customer. Why would you give a customer a choice like that, right? So they're doing really well. H&M. But they've just hired the head of sustainability as their CEO. They have a bad rap for a lot of different reasons in terms of sustainability, but that's a way forward. I wouldn't say those are the 3 best, but they're good movers.
Good ones.
Yeah.
Staying on the business topic, how do we as businesses avoid business greenwashing? You'll know what that means, to cover up unsustainable behaviors in reality.
Yes, so greenwashing is that flag waving I was talking about. Let's just put, it's eco, it's 100% cotton, it's whatever it is, and don't look behind the sheets, because everything behind here, our business practices aren't doing well. That's a little bit of greenwashing, and we shouldn't be doing that. We should be very transparent about our full story. A lot of businesses are reticent about talking about the great things they're doing in one area of the business because a lot of the practices aren't. But like any human, if you tell a full story, you're able to bring some brand value to the little bit you're doing. So you'd say, right, this part where we got 100% cotton in all our men's wear, but our women's wear and our kids wear and stuff, we're working on that. There's a 3-year plan for that. This one we can't address right now. We're collaborating on this. If you tell that full stories, customers are much more attuned to being like, okay, I understand what you're trying to do. I understand your purpose, and I will have brand loyalty with you.
Okay, next question. You mentioned individuals and businesses, and we've spoken about this, but what about governments? What responsibility do they have, and what can they do now to change things?
Governments change like every 4 years, and they are a big part of the solution, but they are not, in my view, going to be they're not going to have the effect that we want very quickly to meet this 2030 target. It's up to us in this room, and not just the random us, each individual in this room. We will all go back, and this is why I put this slide up at the beginning. We will all go back to our desks and make decisions that will influence hundreds and thousands of people, and the marketing and comms we put out there. It's up to us to make those decisions. Government, yes, they need to put forward more legislation. It's the carrot and the stick thing, but I think it's going to be a while because they have other considerations. Business needs to be at the forefront of this. You have so much influence. You have so much reach. Let's use that wisely.
Very good, thank you. Let's pick one. Okay, do you work with SMEs as much as you do with the bigger brands?
Yes. We work, actually, I think primarily a lot of our brands are SMEs, which is a really nice story because I feel like if we can get in with them as they grow, we help them grow in a very positive way that aligns with social, economic, and environmental considerations at the heart. Then they grow and they're able to deal with these larger world issues. Whereas some of our larger brands, it's a bit harder because you want them to, do something simple like double-sided printing, and it's got to go through finance, and it's got to go through HR, and it's got to go through, the smaller businesses are much more agile. So yes, very welcome to work. We're even working with like small little one-man bands because any business who wants to take on, who actually wants to be sustainable to the future in every which way needs to be sustainable environmentally and socially as well.
I'm going to wrap this question. So electric cars, solar panels, artificial meat, more efficient planes, trains, etc. HS2 for the northern powerhouse that we've had up here today. Won't technology save us?
Will it?
Will it or won't it?
Yes, I think technology. So we say at the Planet Mark, technology and nature and people are the solution. And it has to be all three together. So we talked about, we gift you each one of our companies an acre of protected rainforest. It's not just it's not just the protected rainforest. We work with local indigenous people to make the land productive so they don't have to sell the land. They, for instance, they get cocoa from this rainforest and they can sell the cocoa to a fair trade area, and you can get chocolate from there that actually we buy, and it's in my house, which is very yummy. So nature and people, this is how those two connect. And in terms of technology, yes, a lot of what we've been talking about is like, data. We need to really, this is why measurement is the first part of the Planet Mark. You need to really understand your carbon footprint and your social value. You need to be able to then you start to use, you can see, this is what my company does. How do I make it better? Electric cars, solar panels, but it's choosing the right one. And there's different suppliers out there. And again, it's a separate market, but I think you got to be really smart. If I had to leave you with one thought, no matter what you do in your own life as a business or what you say to customers, just think before you buy and buy better. Don't just buy. We live in a very consumer culture, and a lot of what we're talking about today, we need to sell, sell, sell. But what if we can just encourage people to buy, but buy better? Yeah?
Very good.
Get them thinking.
Very much, Dave.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, right there. Thank you.